Hi there, Guidry here, and today I'm excited to talk to you all about how to build your wedding photography business on a budget. Speaking of budgeting and money and pricing, if you're interested in learning about how to price your wedding photography, be sure to download our free guide in the description. So let's talk a little bit about budgeting. You may or may not know this, but when I personally started my photography business, I truly started from the ground up. I never had a business loan. I didn't have enough money to buy my own gear. So how did I actually start my business? The first thing that I started to do when I ran my business was I rented my gear. That's kind of crazy to think about, but truly, I didn't have enough money to spend $5,000 on a camera body, several $1,000s on the lenses, the batteries, the memory cards, all of the things. We had a local camera center that I went in person to, and I rented my camera gear. Even today, I know there are businesses out there that you can rent gear from. There's lens rental companies. There's companies that you can rent your Contax film cameras from if that's something you're interested in exploring. There are definitely avenues out there. So before you 100% commit and go all in, whether it be to new gear or even just your everyday gear, if you're not yet in a position to afford things, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to go in debt, that you can get paid for the event, get the rentals that you need, and perfectly execute in advance. It does take some proper planning on your part, but it can be done. What if you're in a position where you want to buy gear, but you're not really sure what you need? I have some YouTube videos already created about my must-have lens and the actual body that we use today. In general, I encourage you to make sure that you have one main body and at least one zoom lens or one prime lens with a bit of flexibility to it, like maybe a 35 or a 50, and backup gear. You don't want to go to a wedding as a professional photographer, someone who's been paid for the event, without backup gear if in the case that something were to happen, or a backup person if they're bringing their own gear. You can go either which way with that. When you're going to photograph a wedding, you want to have at least your one main body, your lens. If it's not a solely daytime wedding, you're probably going to want to have a speed light or some sort of artificial lighting, whether it be a video light or some sort of constant light to give you artificial lighting in those dark times during the reception, the cake cutting, and the exit. So for example, when we're photographing our weddings, we use a Z6 II as my main body. My 24-70 f2.8 is my main lens. My favorite lens is my 50-1.2, and I use an SB900 speed light on the camera. I truly think I could photograph an entire wedding with that setup, unless it was a wedding like maybe recently we photographed at a Presbyterian church and we weren't allowed in the sanctuary. As you may or may not know, I am quite the rule follower, and so I didn't step into the sanctuary, in which case I did need my 70-200 f2.8. That lens can be rented, so can, like I said, many others if you're not in a position of owning a ton of gear yet. You do want to have extra batteries, extra memory cards, and of course your card readers. All of this can be maybe rented from a friend or a company, or you can invest in the basics like I described previously. So I imagine that if you're starting out, you may be working another job. You may be treating photography as a side hustle right now, and that's okay. When I started my business, I was actually in college. I was in graduate school. I had a job as an associate to my professor at the time, and I was making money through that, and my photography income was supplemental. I actually believe this is a great place to be in the beginning because you're not putting all of your eggs into your photography basket while you don't have enough money to sustain your income. So if you're someone who's in that transition period, just know that that's normal, and only you really can be the one who decides when it's time to make the transition if you're interested in eventually going full-time as a wedding photographer. If you're in a position where you're getting a lot of consistent work, you're making a consistent income, doesn't necessarily mean that every month you're gonna make the same thing, because as you may know, wedding photography is a bit seasonal. But what I mean by that is as a collective annual income, and collectively as your annual bookings are happening, that you can reflectively say, okay, I am making enough money to be able to pay my bills and to go full time. That's a great place to be. You're probably feeling like you don't have a lot of time right now because you might be working another job and doing photography, and so it feels like a lot. But eventually, when you get to the point that you feel like financially you can make the jump, then you'll get all that time back and you can invest all of your energies into your photography business, which is a great feeling, and I can remember being there. I would also suggest for you, if you're in those early stages, to work for someone else if you can. I know that's not always an option. I unfortunately didn't always have that opportunity to work for someone else, and so I did, ultimately start the business on my own, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. A lot of learning had to be done. But if you have the ability, try to second shoot for people. Learn through professionals who are already active in the industry. And then once you go out on your own, you have the ability at that time to hire on help of your own. If you're trying to really be budget conscious, you can try to do the wedding solo, but I love having a second, and I feel like that's money well spent and invested, not just in you, but in your client as well. But in terms of starting the business, you can save yourself a lot of money if you're someone on a budget, learning from those professionals who are actually practicing in the space. As someone who is trying to build a living doing this and make money, whether it's a supplemental income at this point or if you are transitioning to almost being full-time, you want to be very intentional about your pricing, your discounts, how much work you're doing for free. It is very important to do portfolio building, but you also want to treat your business like a business. What we're doing as photographers is a very skilled profession. It's one that people take very seriously. It's one that does document moments that are irreplicable. It's huge. And so when you are pricing out your work, be intentional about that pricing. If you want to understand how to better price your work, be sure to download the free pricing guide that I have in the description that can help you along that journey. But be very intentional. Try setting boundaries for yourself, for your business, so that you're not just doing a bunch of free work for other people. Yes, like I said, portfolio building is important, but it's not the only thing. You also have to make a living, and you also have to make money doing this very skilled job. Another suggestion I would have for you is to look for templates. When it comes to displaying your portfolio online, people want to see what you do. They want to see the type of work you do. So of course there's social media, Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, all of that good stuff, where you can actually display your work online for free, which is amazing. But in addition, you want to have a professional landing page with a contact form and a way that people can reach out to you. I suggest Showit. If you use the code MAGIC, which is an affiliate code, you can save 10% off of your subscription. And I know that both my business and my husband's business, as well as my father's podcasting website, have all been built on Showit. It is an incredible website, and they charge a very small fee in order to get your website up online and running. They are there to help you throughout the process if you have any questions, and there's a bunch of free design templates that you can actually use to build your website. I know that one of the biggest mistakes that I made was early on spending money that I maybe shouldn't have on things that were very wildly expensive that I couldn't afford. I am a firm believer in beautiful websites and having a strong portfolio presence, but if you can't yet afford a custom site, go for a template. There are low price templates, and there are, like I said, even free templates at Showit. So I would highly suggest looking down that avenue if you are about to build your portfolio and you're not sure where to go with that. And lastly, marketing. When it comes to marketing your business, we innately think sometimes that we have to spend money on marketing. We have to shell all this money out into advertising. But some of the most powerful marketing that you can do is free. What do you have when you don't have money? A lot of times you have time. So use that time to network with people, meet other planners, meet photographers, meet clients. Go out and do what you can with the time that you have to build your brand, build your presence in your community, in your market, where you want to be photographing. That is such a great use of your resources that you do have. Again, you may not have the money, but what resources do you have? Use those to market your business and get the name out for your brand. I hope this information has been helpful. Like I said, I know what it's like to feel like you're building your business out of nothing, and it's very hard in the beginning. But I want you to use these tips, use all the free information that I'm giving you here in YouTube, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, that is all free resources for you to utilize. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to learn more about our educational opportunities, be sure to visit Kat G Education, subscribe for more free videos, and thank you so much for joining me again today. Have a great day. Bye.